Welcome back to my Pokémon Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke walkthrough. In the last episode, we finally made it to Lava Ridge Town and took out Flannery without much of an issue. We had a really great team for her. Afterwards, we got our lovely encounter from the desert. Hello, Mr. Trapinch. Did a bit of grinding and then took on the 5th gym as well. The battle with Norman was much more stressful, but we made it out of there with essentially only one loss, so not bad. While we covered a lot in the last episode, the real grind is just getting started. There's a lot to deal with before we approach Winona. The road from Gen 3 Casual to Emerald Master continues. Let's do this. We're going to start with picking up a few items while we're around this area of the map. We've taught Surf to our water types, and so we'll start with a couple of pickups in Petalburg. By surfing across the 2 ponds in town, we can pick up an Ether, a hidden rare candy, and a max revive, which is nice for some extra cash. I'm personally saving all of my rare candies until I get later in the game, where the grinding becomes a lot more tedious. Next, I'm going to stop by the Pokemon Center to take a few Pokemon out of the box that we'll need for the Winona fight, Numel and Electrike. While Camerupt is not very useful at all for most of the game, he's actually quite nice to have on Winona. And Manectric, along with any other electric type really, starts to get a lot better as we enter the second half of the game. We'll definitely want to head back west so we can check out the water routes that go from Petalburg all the way to Slayport. There is one item in particular that we really need for Winona that's located inside the abandoned ship on Route 108. More on that in a little bit. But before we do that, let's take a quick detour to the east back to our hometown of Littleroot. Mom has an awesome gift for us for beating up on Dad, the amulet coin. Extra money in most Pokemon games is not usually all that helpful, but in the Generation 3 games, it's a big deal. Having access to money in Emerald means having access to the most powerful TMs in the game in Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam, all of which can be purchased from the Game Corner in Mauville for essentially 80,000 Pokédollars each. That will help a lot. Now it's time to leave the Petalburg area and head out on the nearest water routes. There are some more items to pick up along the way back to Slateport, trainers to grind on, and an abandoned ship to explore. After navigating through the trainers on routes 105 and 107, we finally arrive on Route 108 where the abandoned ship awaits. More trainers to grind on for some more experience and cash, but there's also a very important item we need to pick up here. Now that I'm actually starting to pay attention to the game a bit more, why the hell are people on this thing to begin with? Wouldn't that be illegal? Actually, forget that. If this ship is abandoned, how is it not capsized yet? Shouldn't it be at the bottom of the route? Forget it. I should honestly know better than to question logic in Pokemon games, but I'll probably still end up doing it anyway. Once we navigate through the abandoned ship to acquire the storage key, we head over to the room it unlocks and pick up our free TM for Ice Beam. Absolutely busted move, especially for the next gym leader's ace. Before we continue to Route 109 and our return to Slateport City, I actually have to head back to Dewford for a quick second because I completely forgot that we are able to pick up the TM for Sludge Bomb now that we've defeated Norman. Please don't skip this like I almost did. Sludge Bomb is insanely powerful in this generation considering it's a physical move instead of a special move. Super good pickup, and what the hell is Small Bath? I never really paid much attention to this place, but I guess it's where all the trends are created in Hoenn. I bet no matter what the trend is, listening to these people talk is probably really funny either way. By the way, I gave Ice Beam to Gyarados for the time being. I plan on saving up money to get another for Azumarill as well. After navigating through the rest of the water routes, we head all the way back up north to Mauville City, where we pick up a little side quest for Watson. This is totally optional and very easy to accidentally overlook. You do not want to pass up on this one. He sends you over to the new Mauville area to turn off a generator running an extremely sketchy underground sector of this city. This one always kind of creeped me out a little bit. Just what the hell were you guys trying to do down there? Anyway, New Mauville is a really awesome area that you do not want to pass up. Your encounter there has a 50% chance of being S tier. You get a free Thunderbolt TM for finishing Watson's task, and if you're playing on handheld and need to know what the best grinding locations are, well, this is actually going to be it for a while. You can get back to New Mauville by heading back south to Route 110 and surfing over to the small island in the middle of the lake that sits below Cycling Road. And now we get our next encounter, and we've got a 50-50 shot, so let's see what we get. And unfortunately, that's not the S tier Pokemon we were looking for. Oh well. Voltorb is actually not completely useless though, even if he doesn't hit really hard at all whatsoever. Fast electric types in general are just really good in Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. So many good matchups, great defensively, just gotta be aware of earthquakes. However, this could have been a Magnemite, and that kinda sucks. Outside of the Mudkip line, Magneton just may be the second or third best Pokemon in this entire game for any Nuzlocke. If you get one from here, protect it with your life, because it can carry your run all the way through as long as you're careful. Both Pokemon are pretty useful right now anyways, as both can be nice to have on Winona. You'll notice that I ended up screwing around with this Voltorb a lot before I got it, because it kept screeching and I couldn't remember if this thing could potentially have self-destructed at this level, so I played it very safe before actually catching it. After turning off this sketchy ass generator, I pop an escape rope and head back to Watson to pick up my reward, Thunderbolt, which will be immediately taught to our Electrike, soon to be Manectric. With the bonus routes out of the way, it's time to finally start heading east and make our way over to Four Tree City. As soon as you cross over into Route 118, you'll want to talk to the fisherman on the beach right away to pick up your next fishing rod, and get our next encounter with it, Carvana. This is basically a guaranteed encounter every single run, and it's a decent one honestly. Sharpedo is super fast and hits super hard, and has a great typing as well. He can be a little tricky to use because of how frail he is, but he's great on Tate and Liza, and if you need something to sweep Phoebe with later in the game, Sharpedo is perfect for that. Route 119 is fairly uneventful for the most part really. You clear out the Weather Institute, get your free cast form, and then you do face your rival. Although this is one of the easier rival battles honestly, it doesn't really feel like they've improved their team at all since the last time you faced them. As long as you're aware of what their starter is capable of, you really shouldn't have much of an issue on this one. And just like that, we're in Four Tree City. Of course, we won't really be spending much time here, as we have to go through a little bit of Route 120 before Winona can actually open up. This is also a really good time to mention that you do not have to take on this gym right away, and in fact, you can delay it for quite a long time. There are a ton of accessible routes past Four Tree City that you can navigate through before facing Winona, and that also means a ton of new encounters that go with it. You can access routes 120 through 124, Mount Pyre, the Safari Zone, and Lily Cove City, all before setting foot in the 6th gym. If you don't believe you have the encounters to take on Winona currently, definitely take the time to pick up all of those other encounters. A big word of caution though while you do this. Route 120 is one of the tougher routes in the whole game, and honestly, avoiding trainers where you can might be the way to go, even if you do need the experience. At the very least, make sure you just don't engage in any double battles if you can. What's particularly scary about this route is actually the constant rain. There's a trainer on here, I believe his name is Cool Trainer Lionel, that has a Manectric with a 100% accuracy Thunder. And I think there's another trainer on this route with a Melodic as well, depending on what game you're playing. Lots of scary stuff here. Be very careful going through here. Now on Route 121, and there's not much to see here, although I'm starting to reach the current level cap of 33 with a few of my Pokemon, so I'll need to make my preparations for Winona soon and head back over to take her on. While I'm here, I pick up my next encounter, which ends up being a... oh, okay. Calculion it is then. I think that's a crazy rare encounter. Unfortunately, not a great pickup. I like the idea behind his design, but in practice, it just hurts him more than it helps. He'll chill in the box probably for the rest of the run, unless I can think of some weird and creative idea to use him somehow. Finally in Lily Cove, and I think we can all take a deep breath for a second. Those routes are long and can really wear you down. This part of the game is quite boring, honestly, and it can get quite tedious. There really isn't much to do here, but I like stopping by the Pokemon Center, at least so I can just fly down here after getting the badge from Winona. If you're feeling up for it, feel free to take on your rival outside of the department store as well. This place does sell some pretty good TMs if you're looking for a boost, even against Winona. You also now have access to the Move Deleter, which is really nice at this point as well, to remove any of those unwanted HMs that you may have had to use on some of your main team members earlier on in the game. But for the most part, as soon as we walk into Lily Cove, we are pretty much walking right back out. I'm actually not going to stop by Mount Pyre and the other routes around that area at this point, because I think I'm almost ready to take on Winona for the most part. I just have to grind up a few more Pokemon to the level cap first, which shouldn't take too much longer. It is also at this point that I'm going to take some time to travel all the way back to Mauville City. Yes, I know that's basically the other side of the map. So I can use that hard-earned money I made with the help of the Amulet Coin to purchase another TM for Ice Beam and teach it to Azumarill. This way, I have a backup answer to Winona's Altaria if my Gyarados isn't able to take her down by himself. This game corner is absolutely insane, and you should totally abuse it if you're able to. I actually had enough to buy 2 of them, so I did. I'm going to need the second one for a Pokemon we'll be getting much later on in the game. More on that later. From here, I just need to do a little bit more grinding so I can get my Numel to level 33, so he evolves into Camerupt, at which point he'll also learn Rock Slide, which is great. Like I mentioned earlier, New Mauville is going to be the best place to grind at this point in the game if your strategy is grinding on wild Pokemon. I will say that leveling through the daycare is going to start to become far more efficient at this point in the game, and pretty much for the rest of the game for that matter. I'll list my grinding guide in the description below for reference. Check that out if you need some tips. After some more grinding, Numel finally evolves into Camerupt, and we're just about ready to head back to Fortree. And with that, this episode is now over. I know. No boss fight in this episode, but there was a whole lot to get through. It feels weird going from Flannery to Norman in an instant, and now having to go through a ton of new routes and trainers to finally reach one of the most notorious bosses in the entire game, in Winona. I think we are very well prepared for this one though. Couple of Ice Beams, full team of 6, pretty much all at the level cap. Yeah, definitely feeling confident about this one. In the meantime, as usual, please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content like this. And let me know what other kinds of content you would like to see me do in the future. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.